in unum Christi amor. One and the same love has gathered us, heart and soul, around the heart of Christ. This is true of every religious congregation, which will not dissolve even with death. In life and death, we belong to our congregation. A congregation may have members on earth, in purgatory, and in heaven. We are bound together in the bond of love. So this is how we should value our common life, We are here on earth. Some of us may be in purgatory, and some of them may be in heaven. But all the same, we are bound together in the bond of love. Hence, our brothers of the church in heaven offer help to the brothers of the church, being purified, and those of the church here on earth. Our brothers in purgatory, on the other hand, give glory to those in heaven, while also it is believed, praying for their brothers on earth and looking to both of them for help. And finally, the brothers on earth offer suffrages for those in purgatory and ask the help of those in heaven and in purgatory. So what a marvelous exchange of gifts. This wondrous exchange takes place through the communion of saints in the mystical body, which is one and the same church. My brothers, allow me to say that community life is prepared, especially during novitiate. So even though people live together in hotels or colleges, home for the aged, this is not a real community life, for there is no unity of thoughts, no unity in our goals and affection. Each is in that community for different reasons. Some because of need, some temporarily, some for other personal reasons. They are not united by any common duty of obedience deriving from religious vows. Thus, in the religious meaning, on the other hand, community life springs from the very nature of the community, be it called society, institute, congregation, or religious. It is always an association of people who want to help each other attain sanctity. Thus, it is a supernatural end that is being pursued through mutual help under the guidance of an authority in a manner prescribed by constitutions and following the schedule, our tasks and assignments, our offices determined by the superior and the council. In this way, we are united in thought, love, activity, prayer, etc. It demands, of course, both effort and emulation in spiritual progress. Community life is particularly evident in the care given in old age, in sickness, in death, and in suffrages offered after death. We are leading to that, so we have to be prepared this time. The religious community is an organism, not a mechanism. When we say organism, they are living members of one community, helping each other to grow and to function towards our goals. When we say mechanism, we are just like members or parts of a machine, and that is not what we intend to be. The individual serves the community, and the community serves the individual if we are organic. In community life, personality is not repressed. Indeed, it is developed and bettered due to the new social and supernatural factors entering in. So we have to be developed, who we are, our personality traits, our characters. We have to be developed into a better person. Community life is constitutive element of the state of perfection. So we are members of community not because we are perfect, but we need to be perfect. And we have to help each other attain perfection. By making it such, the church publicly indicates an importance for Christian holiness. We go now to the meaning of community life in its formality. The formal meaning entails incorporation and enrollment of a person into a society or organism to live in spirit. That is what we do when we enter novitiate and enter the professed life. We enter our data, our names, our birthday, and everything about ourselves into the record book. That is the formal meaning of membership in the community. This material sense is the life lived under the same roof with the same group of people. So material meaning we are living under one roof, under one community, following the same practices, the same regulations. In secular institutes, members are incorporated into society, and therefore what is required for the essence of common life is there. What is missing is community life in the material sense. In the OAD, we are very particular about the material sense of common life because we need to be physically present in our prayer time, in our Eucharistic celebrations, in our meals and recreation. Living under the same roof, eating together, doing the same things together, etc. However, secular institutes have to own one or two central houses, by reason of which they do have in part material type of common life. This is actually sufficient for a state of perfection. The rest depends upon the particular ideal pursued by each congregation. Finally, in every form of common life, there is material, economic aspect for an efficient organization of the assets of the society or of the community. There is specialization in work to be done. There is energy and the opportunely freed for activity that is directly apostolic. So that is also defined in our OAD way of life, that while we are living in a community life, we have also some opportunities to serve actively in our apostolates in order to introduce us into such matters as edification of the church. And while we're building the church, we are also sufficiently provided. Common life should be a check on deviation and almost inevitable imperfections. Yeah. So we do not expect members of the community to be perfect all at the same time, but we have to acknowledge our imperfections. There are general and common dangers involved here. We could summarize them, such as conservatism or rigid conservatism, because of which details of problems are blown up out of proportion, or incapacity to collaborate with fellow religious, or sometimes our narrow-mindedness in one's approach to achieve our ideals, lack of understanding for the ideals and apostolate of others, so on and so forth. In addition, there are partial failures in common life which hurt the life of sanctification. And some of our failures may lead also to making us away from the holiness of life. In an environment of barren enthusiasm, sometimes we are so enthusiastic about things, but deep down ourselves, we are barren deserts. For example, a common life lacking in generosity, constant and at times ill-willed misunderstanding between diverse shallow characters. Sometimes we just see each other with its own character and judge each other without really knowing the real essence of the person that we are living with. These things can discourage even the most courageous souls and impede, apparently, the full radiance of authentic sanctity. Life becomes depressing under such circumstances. Members are discontented and they live on memories of pessimism or inconclusive criticism of each other or of another house of the congregation. So yan ang mga chismis. No, there are many times that we hear some bad words or some bad issues around our community, not only within our communities, but talking about the other communities. And we are not talking about good things, but usually what is the issue that are affecting them. The effects are just natural, but sometimes they become worse. Perhaps those which may be said to be transferals to a collective level of non-virtuous tendencies, which one has avoided on the personal individual level. So there is a transference, no, from individual, it becomes collective. So our defects not is only personal, but becomes communal. Thus one may be humble personally, yet full of pride or ambition. One may be poor and detached from possessions, yet stop at nothing to enrich his community. Yan. So sometimes we become poor, detached, but we don't actually contribute something for the life of the community. One may show no self-interest at all, but resort to exaggerated propaganda to achieve community goals. Or sometimes one might be preoccupied about promoting community obedience while striving to every form of personal exemptions. So he is promoting obedience to the superior, but so many times he exempts himself. So these are some of the defects that we could experience in living our common life. But there are also advantages. So it is a source of great merit. The community is a source of great merit due to its continual renunciation. It acquires, since food, clothing, dwelling, and schedules are common to all. So we don't have to look for our food. If we are in the community, everybody is working for it. So our clothing sometimes, or so many times, you are given. Our schedules are already intact. It promotes constant faithfulness to prayer, maintain fervor, promote progress. It provides for spiritual reading, for preaching, for correction. The assistance of superiors also help to avoid many dangers which are faced in a free and independent life. So there are some safety nets when we live in our community because we have the brothers to assist us, especially our superiors, who might be teaching us the good way. Community life brings happy and serene companionship with good brothers who are united in the pursuit of the same ideal. In the community also, we are required in the OAD as part of our tradition to celebrate the Eucharist every day. Through the common sacrifice of the Eucharistic agape, it has become the source of our unity, nourishing and assuring us Jesus is living therein as a member and as a head of the members of the community. And by reason of his real and always active presence, he is our way, our truth, and our life. So in community life, we also observe that study becomes easy because of the silence and recollection, good teachers, good libraries. But outside, we might have pursuing our academic pursuits. But it is hard because we cannot find the ample time to study or silence or good teachers, so on and so forth. The apostolate also benefits due to the collaboration of members. So we become effective in our apostolates when we are collaborating with each other. Just as any artistic endeavor benefits from the collaboration of specialists. So we are helps to our brothers in the community if we are open to share our expertise, our knowledge, our skills. On the other hand, how many times individual efforts lacking organization just fade out in empty desires, unsuccessful attempts, and final disillusionment because they just do it by themselves. And this despite their energetic effort. What is needed is community and the collaboration to prepare the bread of spirit and truth. But common life also has certain requirements. One, it demands sociability. The human person is social by nature. With the exception of special, very rare of occasions, man tends continuously to congregate, to share views, to live with others at the age. Isolation is generally feared. But the ideal is not sheep-like following of others to the point of absorbing everything from one's surroundings and fellow religious, not blind compliance or blind obedience to the point of losing one's personality. One must know how to be sociable, and still keep apart somewhat to avoid being influenced by such things as empty reading, films, television, and radio, and social media. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with social media under Father Martin Fonti. And this has something to do with how to improve our common life, notwithstanding our personal behavior towards using this media. Otherwise, a kind of stupidity of lavish possessiveness can develop, a lack of reflection, and consequently, a lack of guiding ideas and principles. So we have to be sociable, but we have also to retain our personal taste, our personal opinion, and our principles, because that is what identifies us as a person, social, but also personal. Community life requires obedience. That's number 2 requirement. No, we have sociability. Number 2 is obedience, and that is already in our rules and in our constitution. In taking the vow, religious assume the obligation of living a life of observance. So living the observance, meaning to obey our superiors, to obey our constitution, to obey the gospel. If later on they begin quibble about superior's authority, about directives given, about opportunities to do things and so forth, what will happen? Little by little, what was given to God will be taken back. When he professes his vow, the new religious signs a blank check. In the real sense, the superior will fill it out. The religious will be required to pay, no matter what desires it may have. And is injustice also involved? If he does not, yes. As a member of society or a community, each must contribute to the common good, just as he shares in the common benefits. Number 3 requirement is charity. Selfishness militates against it, for self-centeredness gradually causes religious to formulate his own modus vivendi, a very personal thing. But when charity is present, we become true members of the community, sharing our very self. And then his one thought is to get all he can from the congregation when we become too personal. All what we need is what we want, while giving little as he can. What pitiable situations! You see some generous brothers overloaded with work, while others play the role of critical, fault-finding spectators. Yeah. Burdens have to be distributed in the community. So it's not good also to overload some brothers or some priests, while others also are just enjoying their being critics or fault finders. So responsibilities have to be relegated, just as offices and benefits are. At times, the superiors make mistake of piling work on some brothers who always respond generously. At other times, they receive unjustified refusals from those who find ways and excuses to avoid shouldering the burdens in the community. And these very people are often just the ones who are the most demanding when it comes to food and dress, to vacations and conveniences in life, to rest and to generated care of health. Yeah, daghang mga demands, no? So some we can observe are not only thinking, they are not thinking of what the community needs, but more so of their health, of their vacation, of their rest. No? Sometimes it annoys us. Let us consider how to arouse one another to charity and good works. This according to the Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, chapter 10. Let us arouse one another to charity and good works. And may the Lord direct our hearts into the love of God and the patience of Christ. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God is in him. St. Paul to the Galatians says, bear one another's burdens, and so you will fulfill the law of Christ. And the same way to the Romans, St. Paul says, owe no man anything except to love one another, for he who loves his neighbor has fulfilled the law. In communities, there are also individuals who try to dominate others and become leaders, so to speak. They find followers to applaud them on without looking into the matter and exercising self-control. Thus, it takes just one such person to lower the moral level of the whole community. So, may the superiors teach us subjects the art of reflection, the act of acting on principles and following our rules and our constitution. Let us form religious who are docile, but keeping subjects from being infantile. So we can form our brothers to become more obedient, but not being infants. How many religious let themselves entirely ruled by influence of the group beyond all proportion to the point of becoming depersonalized. So they lose their being persons because they lose their identity. So if one is to make wholesome spiritual progress, he has to learn how to withdraw into himself at times, make decisions, live as an adult. In other words, there must be some characteristics of decisiveness. You know how to decide when it calls for decision making. You know how to maintain energy and effort for the good of the community. There is some kind of resoluteness, one single-mindedness for the pursuit of the progress of our projects, or when we are called to stand for our principles. These are the qualities which give us excellent religious, excellent educators, and excellent guides for souls. The ability to make living together warm, joyous, serene is a great gift. In such an atmosphere, there will be fun and jokes, but nothing undignified. Seriousness, but at the right time. Readiness to give in, but not weakness. Order, but not to the point where it becomes mania. The habit of yielding to others, but not from motives of too intimate friendship. There is respect for a variety of ideas and customs, but not renunciation of one's own ideas if they are upright and sure. Yeah. So these are some psychological suggestions for each one of us, that there might some kind of thinking and reflecting about ourselves, we know that we follow the rule and the regulations. We know that we're in the right place and the right direction. But at times, we lose ourselves because we lose our identity. Let there be love in obedience, and there should be obedience in love. So it's not only purely obedience, not only purely love, but they should also come together. The party spirit in an institute brings grave consequences. Discord in thoughts, in aims, in character, in principles, in apostolic activity, so on and so forth. The congregation spirit is destroyed in its foundation and in its life. Therefore, unity is so important that for its sake, all individual interests and views must be sacrificed. So at times, there's a call to sacrifice our own personal interests and our personal opinions for the sake of unity. So may the Holy Spirit let us see our superiors as having been given us by God for our sanctification, and our fellow religious as our co-travelers toward eternity. May help us to live in supernatural love, showing goodness to all, praying for all, giving a edifying example to all. May our religious houses be filled with the warmth of this love of God in neighbor, which makes his presence so strongly felt. May be some discord among major superiors, or maybe among counselors. Is this the worst thing possible? There must be warm understanding between our leaders. On the other hand, immense inspiration for everyone. Let us take lesson from the fact that our Divine Master repeated the petition that they may be one 4 times in his priestly prayer. We remember that in John 17, the prayer of Jesus. In his priestly prayer, Jesus prayed for his apostles. Thus, Holy Father, keep in thy name those whom you have given me, that they may be one, even as we are one. Yet not for this only do I pray, Jesus continues, but for those who also through their word are to believe in me, that all may be one, even as you, Father, in me and I in you, that they also may be one in us, and that the world may believe that you have sent me. And the glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may be perfected in unity, and that the world may know that you has sent me, and that you has loved them, even as you has loved me. Father, I will that where I am, they also whom you have given me may be with me, in order that they may behold my glory which you have given me, because you have loved me before the creation of the world. Just, Father, the world does not know thee, but I have known you, and these have known that you have sent me. And I have made known to them your name, and will make it known, in order that the love with which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. So one line, which is more important than all the rest. We are all servants. No one is Lord. We are all striving for perfection, for no one is already perfect. May God build our community life through His grace and through His good news. And may we always listen to the voice of the Master and allow ourselves to be touched with the Master's hand, for us to be rebuilt, for us to be given new opportunities, and to live again in the spirit of the Gospels and the spirit of our founders, and for the pursuit of contributing to the life of the Church, now and forever. Amen. Thank you for this opportunity, and may we continue for some other days until we finish our week-long retreat. God bless us all.